Okay, welcome again. Now we're going to look at short term versus long term thinking. What's that about? Most traders, when they are in the act of trading or thinking about trading on a day to day basis, are focused on the individual outcome of trades. I see this all the time. I go on YouTube, I look at people talking about trading, and a lot of these people are talking about individual outcome of trades. There are some who obviously have a long term horizon, but from what I'm seeing, just as an outside observer, that's what's happening. Now, coming out of that, actually, it makes sense because remember that on a day to day basis, the human brain is just designed and programmed to want to survive, to live to fight another day. And you placing a trade upsets that in the brain. It basically puts it on high alert. The very act of you risking capital with an uncertain outcome puts the brain in high gear, and it puts it in a place where it can trigger into either one of two things, fight or flight. And as you're kind of considering this, you have to really think about this. If you're sitting there, you're taking a trade, and you're banking on a certain outcome, you've already lost because there is no way for you to know what is going to happen with that trade that you're taking. There are just too many variables to factor and to consider, and it's very, very difficult for you to try and think that you can know exactly what's the right thing, what's going to happen with the market, because you just don't know. Trading is a game of long term probabilities. You're playing a game, you're taking trades, hopefully, you have an edge in the market, and you're repeating that process over and over and over again. And that's what it counts for. You sitting there trying to pick and say, I think this one is going to win, this one's going to lose, is neither here or there. And again, you can do that, but the problem is you're going to set yourself up for disappointment because on an individual trade by trade basis, we just don't know what the outcome is going to be. And so it's easy to hear this and say, yeah, that makes sense. But you try and apply that in your trading and see if you can do that, because that is really the test. Are you able to move from trade to trade and be unencumbered by what's happening? Only a very select few, I would say, are actually able to do that. And again, I'm just talking about it from theory. Listening to someone, hearing someone talk about it, does not mean you will be able to do it. There is no shortcut. You cannot listen to something and then be able to exactly do what needs to be done. It takes deliberate practice, effort, and consistency to get those results. But as you're thinking about this, try to understand it's a numbers game. It's not about being right or wrong on an individual trade by trade basis. Because as I said, there's just too many things and factors that come into the equation that can affect that. It's a pointless exercise to sit there and be thinking, okay, is this trade going to be a win? Is it going to be a loss? It's just too many variables, too much randomness. But over the long term, if you have an edge, that's where you will see your growth. But even when you get to that point, there are other things that make it really difficult to stay ahead consistently. As I was mentioning earlier, a number of different powerful forces can come into mind that can completely take you away from that now moment and cause you to be in a place where you're no longer able to perform. And that's a huge problem. So the important thing is, remember, this is not a game of right or wrong. This is a game of winning over the long term. Okay? And I hope you enjoyed that one. Subscribe. Take care. See you next time. Cheers.